He looked me right in the eye and said, "You'll have to beg me even for tampon money. Forget about your credit card." And in that moment, something inside of me cracked. Not from the words, I'd heard worse, but from the way he said it. Calm, cold, like it was the most normal thing in the world. I wasn't his partner, I wasn't his equal, I was something lesser. I was property. Hey, my name's Maria. I'm 34, living in Texas, and if you're listening to this right now, I just want to say thanks for being here. Whether you've lived this story or you're just trying to understand it, I'm glad you found this video. Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. I promise you're not alone. I used to think what I was experiencing wasn't abuse. He never hit me, right? But when you have to hide receipts, ask for permission to buy shampoo, or silently bleed through your pants because you're too scared to ask for help, that's not marriage. That's survival. And if you think that was bad, I met Jason when I was 24. He was 30, handsome in that quiet, confident way, the kind of man who pulled out chairs, remembered your coffee order, and made you feel like the most important person in the room. He had a great job in IT, a nice car, and a way of talking about the future that made you believe he had it all worked out. On our third date, over tacos and too much wine, he laughed and said, "Stick with me and you'll never have to worry about bills again." Back then, I thought, how lucky am I? A man who wants to take care of me? That's love, right? Before long, we were talking about moving in together. I was working as a dental hygienist then, making my own money. But he always insisted on paying for everything. "Save your money for fun," he'd say. "I make more anyway." It felt sweet, protective, until it didn't. After we got married, the money talk changed. I'd mention a splurge at Target, and he'd raise an eyebrow. "Do we really need more candles?" One day, I opened my bank app and saw my paychecks were being redirected to our joint account. He smiled. "Don't worry, babe, I've got a system. Let me handle the finances." Little by little, I stopped seeing my own money. Credit cards? Canceled. Bills? You don't have to worry about that. Except I did. I began needing to ask for permission for everything. At first, I thought I was being loved, protected, but now I see I was being slowly erased. What he called love started to feel a lot more like control. And by the time I noticed the difference, it felt too late to leave. After we got married, Jason suggested I leave my job. He said, "You don't need to work. Just focus on the house, maybe start a family." At first, it sounded like a dream. I pictured peaceful mornings, dinner on the table, maybe a home business someday. I didn't realize what I was giving up. My independence. The shift wasn't overnight, it was slow. So slow I barely noticed. First, he started micromanaging the grocery list, highlighting things, crossing out what he called junk. Then came the spreadsheets, how much I spent, where I spent it, how I needed to be more mindful. One day I came home to find my credit cards gone. "Too much temptation," he said calmly. "You don't really need them." I became someone I didn't even recognize, a grown woman asking for gas money, whispering for permission to buy shampoo, stretching toothpaste until the tube cracked down the side. But the moment that crushed me, truly crushed me, was the tampon money. I'd waited too long between asking, period came early, I was in the bathroom with balled up toilet paper and panic setting in, hands shaking. I walked out, found him scrolling his phone, and quietly said, "I need some money. I have to buy tampons." He didn't even look up. "You'll have to beg me then." I did. I begged. I was 34 years old, begging for $5 like some teenager who'd broken curfew. That night, I used paper towels, not because I couldn't go get what I needed, but because I was too ashamed to ask again. I started hiding receipts,
pretending I wasn't hungry when the pantry was low, avoiding texts from friends because I couldn't afford coffee, let alone explain why I'd vanished. The isolation wasn't just financial, it was emotional, spiritual. I was disappearing, one no at a time. I went days without hearing my own voice out loud. I was 34.
It was a
Hiding
Tuesday
receipts like a
afternoon,
teenager
and I was
sneaking
standing in the
out.
aisle at the dollar store, gripping a bottle of off-brand shampoo. My 5-year-old daughter, Lily, tugged on my sleeve, holding a toy hairbrush. Her eyes lit up. "Can we get this, Mama?" I looked at the price, $2, and still I hesitated. I knew Jason would check the bank balance. I could already hear the fight. Not over the money, but the principle. "Why didn't you ask first?" I swallowed and shook my head. "Not today, baby. Maybe next time." Lily looked at me, confused. Then she said the sentence that broke me. "Why does Daddy never let you buy stuff?" I froze. Her voice was light, innocent, but the question landed like a punch in the gut. She wasn't angry. She was just learning. Learning that love means silence, that being a wife means not choosing, that a mother apologizes for needs. That night, long after she fell asleep, I sat in the kitchen staring at the counter. I kept hearing her voice, that tiny question. Is this what I'm teaching her? That this is how women live? That they keep their heads down, sacrifice joy, and ask for permission to breathe? Children don't do what we say. They become what we show. And I was showing her everything I never wanted her to become. That was the moment the fog started to lift. The decision wasn't made yet, but the seed was planted. I couldn't be the reason Lily mistook fear for love. The night after Lily's question, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, trying to remember who I was before all this, before every decision required permission, before I learned to shrink myself so small he wouldn't notice I had needs. And that question kept echoing. Why does Daddy never let you buy stuff? It wasn't like I suddenly became strong. It was more like I became desperate. Desperate enough to finally act. The first step was small. Terrifying, but small. I went to the public library and Googled how to secretly open a bank account. I followed every safety precaution, made sure the paperwork didn't make it to our house. I signed up with a credit union and walked out of the building clutching my first symbol of freedom, a tiny packet with my own debit card inside. It felt like holding a weapon, or a lifeline. I found a remote customer service gig online, trained at night after Lily went to bed. I typed emails under a blanket on the couch so the keys wouldn't wake him. For weeks, I earned $50 here, $30 there. It was nothing, and it was everything. I got cash out in small bills. I taped some inside old tampon boxes, hid others under the couch lining. I learned to budget like my life depended on it, because it did. One afternoon, I walked into a corner store and bought a box of tampons with my own money. No asking, no shame, no begging. I cried in the parking lot because it was the first time in years I had paid for something without fear. Then came the final step. I called a women's shelter. Not from home, from a library computer. Their voice was calm, kind, clear. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't alone. They told me exactly what to pack, how to time the move, who to call first. Was I scared? Terrified. I had no idea if he'd freak out, come looking, take my daughter, ruin my name. But I also felt something else. Power. I'd never felt more afraid or more alive. With every secret step, I was building a bridge back to myself. The apartment was small,
One bedroom, creaky floors, stained walls where the previous tenants hung posters they never bothered to take down. The furniture didn't match, and the fridge made a humming sound that kept me up the first few nights. But it was mine. That key in my hand, that was the first thing in years that belonged only to me. I remember the first morning waking up there. A plastic bowl of cereal for Lily, instant coffee for me. I sat at the tiny table, legs tucked underneath, and for the first time in years, silence didn't feel like fear. It felt like peace. Life isn't glamorous. I drive a beat-up Civic I paid cash for through 3 part-time checks. Our clothes are mostly thrifted, and I watch every grocery receipt like a hawk. But I'm no longer being watched. No one's hovering behind me asking why the peanut butter was name brand. I joined a local women's group at the resource center that once helped me escape. What started as therapy turned into a purpose. I now work there full-time, helping women recognize red flags before they become chains. I teach them how to budget without shame, how to hide money safely, how to trust their voice again. I still have nightmares. He's chasing me through the aisles of a grocery store or yelling as I try to unlock a door that won't open. But I also have dreams now. Dreams of taking Lily to Disney someday, of going back to school, of maybe, one day, falling in love again, the right way. My life doesn't look like a success story on Instagram. There's no white marble countertops or expensive heels. But do you know what freedom really looks like? It's sitting in a cafe, buying your own coffee with your own damn dollar, and not asking anyone's permission to drink it slow. It's breathing, choosing, laughing at your own joke even if no one else hears it. Freedom isn't loud, but it's yours. And once you taste it, no man, no past, no fear can ever take it from you again. If your stomach drops every time you ask for money, this video is for you. If you find yourself rehearsing what to say before asking for something basic, like grocery cash or gas money, you're not crazy, you're not dramatic, you're not bad with money. You might be experiencing financial abuse. And yes, that is real abuse. They might never raise a hand, but if they're controlling your access to money, independence, or basic needs, that's power being used against you. That's control. That's abuse. I wasted 5 years of my life thinking I was being taken care of. I confused control for love. Let me tell you, love doesn't isolate. It doesn't silence. It doesn't make you feel like a burden for needing pads, food, or space. Please, trust your gut. That whisper in your head, the one questioning whether this is normal, it's not betraying you. It's trying to save you. Don't wait until you're too numb to feel the difference. You could waste another 5 years in silence, or you could take one step today that your future self will thank you for. There is a way out. You don't have to figure it all out tonight, but maybe tonight you ask yourself the question that changed everything for me. Do I want my daughter to think this is what love looks like? Someone you love might be living Maria's story right now, but too ashamed to say it out loud. Maybe it's your sister, your neighbor, a coworker who always smiles but somehow never goes out. Silence protects shame, but stories set people free. If this hit home, don't scroll past. Don't keep this to yourself. Share this video, not for the algorithm, but because someone might see it at exactly the right moment and realize she's not alone. Drop a comment below, even if it's just 4 words. You're not alone. You never know who's reading. Right now, there is strength sitting in the comment section. Stories, scars, survival. Be part of that. And if you believe in the power of voices rising together, hit subscribe. This channel is a safe place for unbreakable women, for truth tellers, for those finding their way forward after years of being held back. Speak out. Reach out. You might literally save a life.